What's up guys, thanks for tuning in on today's video. I'm Gabe and today we are going to be doing an in-depth look at this 2017 C7 Z06. In this review we're going to cover the performance, exterior and interior characteristics, and then we're going to take it out for a drive in order to determine if the C7 Z06 is worth your time and potentially your money. You may not be able to tell, but right now I am shaking with excitement to finally get behind the wheel of another Corvette Z06. This would be the third Z06 that I drive and the fourth Corvette that I feature on the channel. And I will say it loudly, proudly, and I will eagerly accept any opportunity to get behind the wheel of a Corvette. Since the 1950s, the Corvette has been cheered for its distinctive and notable performance, its distinctive styling, its ultra lightweight, and most importantly, its competitive pricing to the competition. For many people, the Corvette is the poster car, the dream car, the car that you vision yourself in retirement or when you achieve a certain level of success. Now about that competitive pricing, you could probably pick one up used, depending on the mileage and all of the trims and the transmissions and all that stuff, from the low 60s to the high 80s, depending on, of course, the factors that I just mentioned, which is a steal considering the amount of power that this car has. Now underneath the hood, we are going to find a 6.2 liter supercharged cast aluminum V8 engine that pushes 650 horsepower and about 650 pound-feet of torque. Those are factory numbers. This particular C7 Z06 is far from bone stock. There is a ton of modifications done to the car, and I have a list in the description below for you guys to jot down and follow. But ultimately, this car is full bolt-ons on E85, which means that this car makes around 800 crank horsepower. Now, in terms of torque figures, we're not too sure. I would love to dyno this car on a separate occasion and make like an update video. But ultimately, this has 150 more horsepower than a stock C7 Z06, which already was insane. Not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous. Now from the factory, these LT4s have an incredibly ballistic and aggressive exhaust note. This is how it sounds from factory. And now this is how this full bolt-on C7 Z06 sounds. Headphone users, beware. This has got to be the absolute best exhaust system setup I have ever heard on a Z06, let alone a Corvette. Just wait until we get past the rev limiter and we really rip it on the highway. The C7 Z06 is not only known for its ballistic and aggressive exhaust note, but it is also known for its beautiful exterior styling. I absolutely love the C7 styling, the generation. You know, with the C8 coming out and that looking like a completely different car, this still maintains its same level of new and just overall keeping up with the times. I absolutely love how this car looks, especially when you have like this beaming yellow color that's getting a lot of sun and attention, and so am I. Over here in the front, we're going to notice that this actually has the ZR1 bumper. This has a splitter on the bottom that is enormous, and again, that helps out tremendously with downforce. When we take a step back, we really get to appreciate just how angular and how aggressive this car looks. I mean, I've always loved the headlights of this car, how it has like these steps over here of LED lights that kind of look like the 458 in a way, and that strip right there. I mean, there's so many C6 Corvettes that are trying to replicate the C7 look, and I understand completely. It just looks awesome, very sporty and very modern as well, even though this design is almost 9 years old at this point. I love the profile of the Corvette. It's just so sleek, so aggressive, and I'm gonna get to it in a moment in the back here, but I love how they don't completely cut off like the C6 does, and it kind of like slowly rounds out in the back, so it gives you just a little bit of a bulge. You also really get to appreciate that black and yellow kill a fellow color combination. You get it with these nice like multi-spoke black wheels that are in gloss black, and they are hiding 6 piston brakes up front that are painted in yellow and 4 piston brakes in the rear. Now up front the tires are very meaty 285s, and in the rear they're 335, so even more meat in the back where it counts. After all, this is a rear wheel drive car. I want to just point out how aggressive this fender flare makes the car look. It just gives it that extra meat, that girth, that width. Here we also have that extension of the track focus parts with the side skirts. And you know, you just have like these crazy curves, like over here, these sharp lines, and it's just so nice. And all of this is functional. It allows for the air to channel out through these vents here that of course have the Z06 supercharged badge right here to remind the folks what you're driving. And you also have this vent over here that allows for air to channel through. I also love how the door handle is not a traditional door handle. It's like tucked in here. These flares over here in the back are specific to the Z06 and the Grand Sport. Now, specific to the actual Z06 that the Grand Sport doesn't have, these are actually tinted, but they originally would come clear. The Grand Sport would come in red. These lights just look so nice. They look so much more aggressive than the C6 look. The C6 were just circular, and these are like angular and more you know, aggressive and sporty. You have the rest of the exhaust tips that are like in this matte black finish here that it just looks so beefy and aggressive. I really like how it also has these vents that are, again, fully functional as well. One of the last functional pieces of the rear is going to be this enormous Z06 spoiler. This just gives it not only downforce, but it just, again, gives it so much more of a bigger presence. All right, guys, so now let's take a look at the interior, but first thing is first, take a look at this key that is shared with the Cadillacs and different from the Camaros and the other performance cars from Chevrolet. We access the door here, and now the fun part is to get in. Oh my God. Deja vu. Give it a start. It is hot as heck. Let's go ahead and give it some revs. It sounds so good, my gosh. So if we're gonna go ahead and compare interiors, I must say that the C7 is eons ahead of the C6. I mean, it was such a huge leap in just styling and luxury and features and just overall appearance, but this doesn't nearly compare to the C8. I actually like how the C8 kind of has like that long runway here with the different buttons that you can press. It's actually inspired by the C7, and this is actually just an oh shit handle for your passenger. It's like a combination of plastic and leather, which is very typical with high performance expensive cars. So leather up top, and then you'll have like little inserts of plastic here. I mean, it is a Corvette. It's not like you're talking about a Ferrari here. And other materials that are used in the C7 Z06 is going to be like this Alcantara suede over here on the pillar and over here on the sun visor. The inside of the Z06 is not that much different from the C7 Stingray, other than like a couple of notable things. For example, here it'll say in dry carbon fiber Z06. Over here you'll also get a little badge that says Z06 650, 650. Ultimately, the first thing that you guys are going to see is this very small but aggressive and sporty steering wheel. I love the flat bottom. The feel is great. I also love the design of it. I also like that they use like this like silver brushed aluminum look. I love how this entire like meters here is kind of like a blend of physical meters and of course digital ones as well. One of the quirks actually about the tachometer and speedometer is that you actually have a yellow Corvette, right? This is a factory color, factory spec yellow Corvette, but you have a white one displaying on the tachometer there. At one point I thought that, you know, this car was actually wrapped before or painted before, but nope, that's exactly how it is from factory. You have the heads-up display, which is really cool. Nothing too new. I mean, the C6 also has this as well. Yeah, I gotta say, these seats are very stylish and very comfortable. You know, they're not very invasive, especially like in the bolsters and the hip area here. It just looks and feels wonderful. I'm about 6'2", and I have incredible amount of space from my headroom. In terms of width, I'm also pretty good. I'm not a huge, built dude. So this is actually, I fit rather snug in this. The storage is really good. You have a cubby over here. You have a storage over here that's really just good for your phone. You have a cup holder here that it's really nicely placed, I'll be honest. The Camaros have it like right here, right behind the shifter. So it's kind of like a very awkward place to put it. But this actually has a really cool feature that you can hit the screen here and it displays like this little compartment here to store miscellaneous items. You have PDR, which is like the performance video software. This is a touch screen. You can also control it with this little menu item. You get Apple CarPlay, which is huge. Pandora, I mean, who the hell uses that anymore? You get text messaging, cameras. You have like this really short shifter here that I do believe it's actually a short throw shifter because you really got to give it some force. Right behind it, you have the dial here that allows you to change from the different driving modes. And of course, this Z06 is actually a T-top, so you can actually remove this. I'm actually a huge fan of Targa or T-top cars because it gives you the best of both worlds without compromising the look and the rigidity and overall like the usage when it comes to track. This one is actually a see-through, so in a way you kind of have like a sort of panoramic roof. But I mean, the interior is, very much acceptable. Well guys, we finished talking about the performance exterior and interior characteristics. Now let's take this car out for a drive. But before we do so, let's get a load of this camera here. And as you guys can see, the camera quality is not that great. It kind of looks like a 2010 iPhone quality, but hey, it's not what you buy this car. So what better way to kick off the driving portion with a bang than with a little bit of launch control action. I'm just gonna do the traditional kind of just starting from zero and letting it roll off just to see how it is. And let's just keep it at that. So we're gonna put traction control off, just regular, not the full competitive mode. All right, wish me luck. Oh my God, that was just me giving it just a little bit of gas and really not taking advantage of that full launch control system, but oh my I miss Corvette, man. I miss that so much. Then I use the auto rev match. The ultimate cheat code. Oh my Jesus Christ. So, initial impressions, it's beastly. I mean, it's so crazy. And like the strange thing is, well, not really the strange thing, the new thing for me is that this is a manual car. So before you had the shifts done for you, and not gonna lie, it was still very much impressive and scary. But when you are doing it on your own, it's a whole new high and just experience of raw power and a little bit of a tunnel here. Crazy. I mean, you floor this just a little too much, and if you don't know how to drive, if this is your first car, you're crashing. Like, you are crashing for sure. I need a moment. I seriously need a moment right now because I am so stimulated right now. And if we put it to 6th gear, which is actually not the final gear, this is a 7-speed, so the 7th gear is really for optimal gas consumption and the best gas mileage on the highway, which, by the way, I believe you get 15 in the city and about 22 on the highway. People have actually really complimented it and really applaud how well this car does when you don't drive it like that on track mode. It is a little bit rough on the suspension. I mean, everything is felt immensely, and you know, you bounce a little bit here and there. And this is, mind you, this is good highway road that we're on right now. Now, touring mode doesn't only mess with the butterflies and the exhaust valves, but it also makes the suspension far more forgivable and tranquil than you would get with the track mode. You wouldn't really know that you're in a Corvette if it wasn't for the exhaust feedback and the fact of how low this car is. It's always so surprising just how low you sit to the ground, and it's one of those things that I'll never really get over it with the Corvette. It's just one of those experiences. But let's be honest, did you really click on this video for nonchalant driving? I don't think so. Unreal. Yeah, so on track mode, everything starts to stiffen up, becomes so much more raw. I can't wait until we really take it out on the track. I wish the owner of this car would have kept his 600 LT, because this would, I think, would probably, maybe keep up with it. Dangerous car, and I'm honestly pushing the limit right now. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, straightaways is really where I think I'm gonna really be pushing this car. Anywhere else, I feel like you really have to be delicate with it, because this is, again, 700 wheel horsepower, 800 crank. Alright guys, we've talked about how fast this car can go. Let's see how fast this car can stop as well, which is very important for the track. So we're gonna go at, say, 70. Holy crap! That's a good one! Let's try a little bit faster now at, say, 80 miles per hour. Oh my gosh, dude, those 6-piston brakes are crazy! And these aren't even the carbon ceramic options either, so I can't even imagine how those are gonna be stopping. literally flooring it. Even though this car is sleek, sporty, it still has so much more visibility than the Camaro. You know, it's really cool just looking out of the side view mirrors and taking a look at that enormous fender flare just bulging out. All right, so let's dial it back yet again to how this car drives in basically touring mode, which is the most forgiving mode of them all. And we're gonna do it more in like a city type of environment, the suburbs, and oh my gosh, we just went over some bumps right now, and it literally, you guys probably saw that, like it literally bounced up and down like a cloud. This is the magnetic ride suspension, and I gotta say, this is actually one of the most comfortable sports cars that I have ever driven. I mean, it's basically gobbling up these bumps and keeping me nice and float. It is so comfortable to drive this car in like a very relaxing, you know, non-sports oriented way. You could really feel just how easy and comfortable it is. And again, this is a very spacious car, surprisingly, for a two-door sports car. I mean, I'm telling you, the seats are very comfortable, and you really get a sense of that when you're just driving very easily, especially after, you know, giving it some gas as we've been doing earlier. But I mean, right now, just vibing on the road, no worries, no stresses. It's very comfortable. And something to add on the comfort side of driving this is that, remember, even though this is a 7-speed manual transmission, you still have auto rev matching. So of course, in a sport oriented situation, you have that availability, cheat code rather. But when you want to be very easy going, it also helps out when you're kind of like approaching a stop or like stop and go traffic. And the fact that it's a short throw shifter, you know, I had complained earlier that it was a little bit rough, but I actually have one on my Camaro, and I gotta say, it's one of the best mods that I've done, especially if you have a manual transmission. It's something that you really have to do. Not only does it save you some time in the shifts, which I know we haven't really done in this review, but it just feels really good, and it really just gives you like more feedback that you're doing something. And well, you really are. Dude, like that's so crazy, man. It's so freaking crazy. I think I'm falling for you. All good things must come to an end. But yet again, I walk away with a heart-throbbing, heart-pounding, jaw-dropping experience with the C7 Z06. This is just so hard to come up with things that I don't like about this car, and I'll try to make a full video on that. But the things that I can think about right now, maybe it's just hard to get in. It's not, I guess, the best interior per se, but by God, is this thing just an absolute beast. And what you're getting for out of the box, 650 horsepower, or in the case like this where you throw in some mods and get up to 800 horsepower for less than $80,000, you can't beat it. I mean, it's just such an incredible bargain. And you guys saw firsthand just how excited I was to drive this thing. I will say though, if you're looking for a C7 Z06, you definitely want to obviously look for the basics. You know, has it been maintained, who's modified it, etc., etc. But guys, you definitely should get the 7-speed manual transmission. And that 7-speed manual transmission makes all the difference in the world compared to the automatic 8-speed. I mean, it's still very fast, and don't get me wrong, but the sense of having control of that 800 or 650 horsepower beast, there's nothing like it. There's just few people that can really justify and convince me otherwise. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the like button. It helps out tremendously with the algorithm. If you enjoyed my videos as a whole, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And last but not least, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. Before you exit the video, stay tuned for a first-person night drive, POV drive in this car with no talking, just letting the car do all the talking. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.